And my son said, and her kids in the background.
No, I was the wrong one. I was signing the wrong one. It's over there.
Oh, can you pass me that, Heidi? Sorry.
Sorry. That's what it said. I'll bring it back over there. I'll walk over there. No, not that route.
There's like.
Por eso sí.
Springfield area that were involved in various crimes, things along the line.
I just need a minute so I could download March and April calendar so I could share screen with y'all. Unless, does everybody have that handy? Yeah.
Yeah, they're there.
No, I meant for our Zoom people.
Oh,
You come here. Got it?
hacer las uñas para que quede más barato.
Hi. Oh, delivery? Yeah, he got it.
Oh, thank God.
He got it, Evan.
I had two spoonfuls of
Yes, I'm
hummus.
proud. Oh.
Okay, let's get started. Pretty much have quorum with folks on Zoom.
That's what I don't
Welcome.
understand, right?
Well,
That one was good. Here,
okay. Hi, welcome.
getting local.
All right. So welcome to exec. Heidi, welcome. She's here for Wayne. And Carmen, are you here on behalf of cannabis or? No.
I can be. That was not. I just had extra time today. Got out of work a little decently early and I'm making dinner and I was like, let me hop on.
All right, I appreciate that.
Superstar, New Yorker of the week.
Yeah, our New Yorker of the week. Shout out to Carmen. Yeah,
Nice.
Carmen was what, last week, this week?
This week?
When did it drop, Carmen?
It dropped yesterday.
Oh, okay,
Congrats.
nice.
And to
Well-
my surprise, a lot of people actually watched New York One, which I didn't think anyone watched New York One at
did?
all. And I got so many text messages yesterday and so many emails from people I haven't talked to in forever telling me that
Oh.
they saw it on New York One. So that was it was a nice surprise.
Yeah, you know, New York one's like the obligatory channel in every,
Yeah.
like, waiting room, you know, places like that. So people, it's always in the background somewhere. But all right, cool. So we're gonna kind of dive in. I think today might be a bit of a quick one. We're gonna spend a little bit more time with treasurer. I know the agenda's a little outdated.
Can you tell me who's on Zoom?
Oh yeah, so we have, I marked them all.
You did?
I marked them off with the exception of Marielle, sorry. Yeah. Anthony's here, he's just on the call.
Cedra's not,
No, he's not here.
and Joelle.
Joel either. So in terms of our agenda, a little bit more fluid than usually, but do we have a secretary's report this month?
No, kind of.
Okay.
We'll talk a little bit
So we'll have
about,
one.
talk a little bit about the otter.
Okay, so we have secretary and then we'll have a treasurer's report. Forgot my chair report. And then Evan, is there anything you want to report to the group today?
I just want to mention a little bit the DOT sidewalk cafe process and how we can figure it out how to handle that. That's all.
That I have on the agenda for sure. So we could dive off of for you. All right, so first up is really our March and April calendar. I'm sorry, folks, for Zoom, I don't have it, so I can share it on the screen. I'm on the wrong laptop with my email. There is nothing highlighted in terms of conflicts from the office. Obviously, I know in April, we have a few, is it April this year? Like we have some religious holidays, but it doesn't look like they conflict. Except, you know, there's Ash Wednesday on Wednesday the 5th. Unless I'm missing one, do folks know any of other holidays? St. Patty's Day, we gonna be here. And then for April, Passover's on a Saturday this year, on the 12th, okay. The 12th, Friday. Easter's the 20th, and, all right, oh, and then, all right, wow, okay, so we don't have conflicts for April, March. Anybody changing the time of their meetings? Or trying to change the date of their meetings?
For me, my April and March are two different dates, but our meetings are at 6:30. One reflects that, the other one doesn't. I believe April reflects it, but March doesn't. Or vice versa.
Did
So
you hear that, Ebenezer?
our meetings are the second
Yes.
Thursday at 6:30 PM. Cause I got caught up. I saw a calendar that said 7, so, and then Tanisha aired me out like, bro, where you at? It's at 6:30 our meeting.
So, okay, so we're on board, we're good for March and April. The only thing to schedule that's not a meeting per se is around our uptown tours, which I know have been lagging a bit. But now that the Fort Washington Library opened up, and she came to the last meeting, she is interested in us doing the tour, so maybe we can schedule that for March. All right, cool. So that meets our future meeting items. As far as chair report, super brief. AKA, please expect that I will be emailing everybody back soon. I know I've been very delayed. Quite frankly, honestly, too, outside of just like work commitments and, you know, we all balance a lot. There's just so much going on in the state of the world and in the state of our city and the state of our neighborhood in the news. And that can be incredibly, overwhelming. And so, yeah, I think definitely we should all take some grace sometimes of like, if we're sitting in all of that and want to put some things on pause, just going to communicate that now. So I'm going to be catching up pretty soon with my inbox. I might owe a couple people emails. So you'll be hearing from me very soon. Second to all of that, the deadline is next Friday for signing up to be a board member or renewing your status as a board member. I know Ebenezer sent emails to everyone. Porfirio's been sending emails as well individually. So if you haven't gotten anything, that means that you are good. If you want to double check, you can always go to the Borough President's website to see what year, like they always have also on their website, like what year you're supposed to renew. So that's helpful too. Speaking of membership, we do have, I don't know how many spots in full we have in terms of vacant and up for renewal, but we did have one member. Wow, look who's here. Welcome, Joelle.
Was that next Friday or?
Next
Like
Friday, the
this
28th.
Friday?
No, not this
28th,
Friday, the
okay.
28th. Elvin Adames, he resigned as of 2 weeks ago, right, Ebenezer?
Who?
Elvin? Yeah, it's been about 2
Yes.
weeks.
Gonna be
Elvin
2 weeks this
resigned.
week, yes.
Elvin Adames,
Oh.
he was business and
Health and environment.
I forgot, health and environment, there we go. So he resigned, and that's kind of more secretary, sorry. So that's another vacancy that we do have on our board. And I will kind of leave it there. I don't know if there's questions for me, things that I should be talking about that I haven't. But we rolling with the punches, y'all. Our neighborhood, and I will not fully speak about it, but I think, we're in a moment where there's a lot to see what's happening next with some of our local institutions. So we'll see. I see a hand. I don't know from who. Oh, Mariam, sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead and finish your report, Kathy. I'll wait until you're done.
Oh, no, I'm done.
Okay. No, thank you. I just wanted to just re-up what you mentioned around just so much happening, and some of us not only volunteer in this space, but also some of us work. This is our day jobs, and kind of the state of the world and so on. And so just giving each other grace, I think, is really important. So just wanted to re-up that. Just a question then on the goodness. Do we do any kind of like exit surveys or just ask members? Sorry, my kids are really loud. Or do we ask members why they might, why they're resigning? Just to kind of get, I guess, a track. Is it, that people have other commitments? Is it that they don't feel involved enough? Just something to kind of track that engagement on the board. That was just a question. And then the other point is, how are we doing on attendance? Because there are a couple of members that I wanted to kind of follow up with privately on kind of attendance. And I know a couple executive committee meetings ago, we talked about having kind of regular follow-ups with those members, and just checking in with them, making sure they're okay, those types of things. Thank you.
I'll let that one, Alexis, because we could segue into your report for the last part of your question. For the first one, for the most part, people, when they resign, they do say why. So in this case, it was just a conflict. Like there's other conflicts, other responsibilities, and the time just wasn't there. But we don't have an exit survey, right? We have like our general survey. An exit survey, I think like 5 questions would be really helpful because it's also not something that the Borough President's Office does. So it would be helpful for us. So we can add that to the to-do list if there's somebody who really wants to do it, and start that. That's available.
I'd be happy to work on that with whoever
All right.
else wants to work on that. That sounds fun.
Yay, thank you, Carmen. And that's something we could send to Elvin himself. So
Thanks, Carmen. I can follow up with you and we can work on it together. Thank you.
And then for the other part, I am going to be asking, the office to, in April, to give me the attendance lists from all their meetings from January, February, and March, and review who has been coming, who has not, who's been excused. I think doing it twice a year is great, but I think it needs to be quarterly, like every 3 months, because I think, you know, like, again, life gets in the way, but sometimes people just midway decide, no, this isn't for me, and they just kind of split without saying anything. So, I think it's important to keep everybody on tasks, you know, I mean, it's important to get here. We all have things to take care of home. I've got a very leaky dog at home right now. But, I think it's important to know if you're not going to be committed, and if you can't commit within 3 months, and we have to ask you to commit for another 3 months. And just keep rolling from there.
There's a hand.
Jim, yeah. Go ahead, Jim.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention that several of us attended the memorial service for Jay Mather. Both Liz Ritter and Steve Simon spoke very eloquently. And it turns out our former colleague Jay was quite an amazing person. So it was a very moving and wonderful, well, insofar as he's no longer with us, I suppose it wasn't so wonderful, but it was an excellent experience. And also another former member, Fern Hertzberg, was also there, but a lot of his friends were from the day. We'll leave it at that, because he had very interesting politics along the way. And he was also very interested in rock and roll, it turned out. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Yeah, Mary brought some of the programs, so. Anything else on your end, Alexis?
Yeah, so I did look a little, well, I spoke to Porfirio about AI notes. He said he is double checking with somebody in his office. He doesn't think it's a problem, but he's not going to give me a definitive yes or no until he checks with somebody in the office. I did look at Otter. It's not that expensive, but I would like to, if Porfirio says, hey, it's cool, you guys can go ahead with AI, I think it would be prudent of us to get a live demo at our next executive meeting. If anybody thinks that's helpful.
What is that? What type of service is that?
It's,
Takes me 2 minutes.
Oh.
yeah, it takes me minutes. Takes minutes.
What was the problem that you need to check? Was it an issue?
What is it? Because, all right, okay, just a minute. This kind of happens to me, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute too. It's happening again. I am new here as a secretary. I do get nervous speaking in front of people. So when a lot of people talk at me at the same time, makes me uncomfortable. Okay. So to answer for you, it is to help people take meeting minutes, because that seems to be very time consuming. But what is it? So it's literally an app. It's that you put on your computer, and it transcribes the meeting.
I'm technically challenged. I
don't know
about these.
But I've been in a meeting recently where somebody's used it. It's as good as it's gonna get. It looks like it's only $250 for a business, but that depends on how many people you need to add. So that's what I'm thinking, it's a live demo. Now, to answer your question, they feel that there might be something in their charter that does not want AI taking minutes. They want to know that there is a human being in there for checks and balances.
You can just edit it.
So they just want checks and balances. So, before we go off and spend, I think once they say, yeah, cool, do it. I'll, make sure that the next time we have it, we can get a live demo and everybody could see how it can work together. Now, I have something else to say. I like people, I really do. But how I was treated at my first meeting during roll call at the last meeting, at the general meeting, was highly insulting. People laughing, people talking or mumbling on purpose so I couldn't hear them, and then yelling over each other so I could not properly write down what people were saying. People, they're laughing at me. I don't understand. Some of you don't know me. Pretending, like when I say hello to people, that you don't see me, that was demoralizing.
Mm.
And I do not and will not accept that ever again. Now, and the second thing, when we were talking about the traffic and transportation, I am Greek Orthodox. My grandparents moved here from Crete in 1916. This used to be a very Greek neighborhood. And my mother, when she moved to New Jersey, because she didn't want to, she moved as close to the George Washington Bridge as possible, because she never wanted to admit she lived in New Jersey. And we would walk across the street, walk across the bridge to go to St. Spiridon. So there were several people who questioned the authenticity of St. Spiridon Greek Orthodox Church. Wanted to know if anybody from the community actually attended. And I found that, again, disrespectful and unacceptable. That is my culture. I hold my culture dear, just like you all do. Greeks are crazy, and we live in our crazy, and we love it.
No, great. I love.
But questioning, does anybody from this community even go there? All because the church members who are getting older need to get in there on the weekends? No.
St. Spiridon is in 187 and St. Nicholas.
No, that's
One-
the other one.
170 between
Wadsworth.
180th and.
So, please, I
Or
treat
something.
everyone with respect.
Yeah.
I am friendly to everybody, and I expect the same from others. I am not someone to be ignored or run over. And that is the last I will say on that.
So, to respond to the first part. When we do the meeting norms at the general meeting, we'll spend a little, like, re-emphasize the
Mhm.
one mic. And the importance in terms of like being quiet during the roll call. I mean, in general, when people speak, but also during the roll call. I know, I guess Jim had his hand up first, so I'll say Jim and then Darryl will go this way. And I know you wanted to add something around the AI stuff too, so, Jim.
Thank you, and this is sort of parliamentary and involving this. To begin with, AI as we own, or the current generation of AI it is imperfect, and that means whatever it produces, human beings are gonna have to carefully go over to make sure it didn't hallucinate things as it sometimes does and such. So that's one piece of it. The other thing is, if all we need is a transcript, Google itself, not Google, Zoom itself can produce a transcript. So we don't need anything to make transcripts. We should have that available now, just like we have the captioning available now. The other thing, what I just heard made me very sad. I think it made all of us very sad. And you know, every one of us came from somewhere and belongs to some institution and has roots, and we have no right to question such things. And in fact, what makes it worse is that's precisely what's going on nationally, and we have to be in the total opposite direction. We, as I've preached to you before, must maintain democracy here at the community level by following rules, and obviously by respecting one another. Otherwise, we will not survive this foolishness going on at the moment. Thank you for listening to my sermon.
Thanks, Jim. Go ahead, Darryl.
Yeah, I know Alexis and I talked about this after the last meeting. Maybe it would be helpful to have some sort of refresher for people on how to vote and what the verbiage is and everything, because I think we saw a lot last time of someone abstaining on, letter A, someone voting no on number 3, and then yes to all. Well, it's not yes to all, it's yes to the rest.
Right.
And people keep saying these things that are confusing and not correct. And so it would be helpful, or if someone say, I'm abstaining, then they're abstaining due to a conflict. Well, that's not abstention. That's not voting due to conflict. And then you need to state your conflict. So people need to just be a little more accurate in their reporting of their vote.
Mary?
I just wanted to go back to, sadly, what I should be aware of it myself, but, Alexis talking about more than one person talking at a time.
because that is something that's very problematic for me, because I can't hear. I've hardly heard anybody yet at this meeting, so I can't hear. My hearing aids are turned way up at this point, but it's the way the room is built and, you know, the way the acoustics are. So if more than one person is talking, I don't know what anybody said. So I can relate to that, and I'm sorry that happened. See, I wasn't aware of any of that because I can't hear in the general meeting. Can't hear anything. So, and I'm trying to work on that, but, you know, I'm having problems, and, you know, each time I attend the community general meeting, I think I should resign from the board because I cannot hear in that meeting. I can't hear what people are saying. If I can hear you, I can't understand you. So it's not always the hearing, it's the understanding also.
I mean, it doesn't take a minute for anybody to just greet each other and say, hi, how are you? How are you? Takes 2 seconds. We are living in a nation right now of craziness. But I've always lived and Joelle, as you know this, I will do anything for anybody. I roll up my sleeves. I was up till 4 o'clock in the morning to make sure I could get everything ready for this meeting, and I'll go back tonight at my house and do more. But please, just because you might not have known me before, or you don't think you know who I am, or you have an idea who I am, don't assume. I will not accept it. Then the Greek Scorpio will come out, and we don't want that.
So thank you for bringing it up here.
About that, my husband and my daughter, both Scorpios, and my granddaughter.
Leo had another suggestion around
Yes.
AI, so let's add that one to the list.
So, one thing, and I think we've all had side discussions, but lately, myself, Kathy, Anthony, I guess pretty much the executive committee, we want to build an outreach, right? We want to make sure we get to other parts of our neighborhood that don't have the opportunity or chance to sit at the table with us. Obviously, it's many reasons, but one of the main issues we see happening is the language barrier. Obviously, community mostly consists of Spanish speaking, but we do have French speaking in our community, Russian, there's a huge Russian population in our community, Greek, amongst other cultures. So in just the conversations we've had, we've kind of concluded that we need to somehow, some way involve these different cultures. So doing research, we found that there are live translation services that we could integrate into our Zoom meetings. Obviously, that would expand our reach. I think it will give opportunity to people who don't usually know what a community board is or what we do to have a say and participate in our meetings. And to add to what you were saying about the meeting minutes, we are looking at Wordly AI. You can integrate it with Zoom. It does live translations, so I think we saw like over 100 languages or something like that. And it does meeting minutes transcription as well. Their subscription is based on hours, so we have the office staff kind of delving into the Zoom for the last year, so they could kind of give us a breakdown of how many hours we use monthly at the general board meeting at the committee level, which is probably very important to invite people to the committee level. So it's a work in progress, but that's what we're kind of aiming with this. Obviously, with the MBPO's approval, and we want to have a test run to make sure it works correctly. But this would allow our neighborhood patrons, stakeholders, constituents to hop in on a meeting wherever they are, click a button, and then get live translation as well as captions through Zoom. So it's something that we're working. Again, I think it is important to give that opportunity to people who usually don't come to our meetings. And again, it won't only be in Spanish, it'll be in any language that of their liking on their computer. So something we're working on, and we'll discuss more so that you can.
No, and I want to add, it's not a replacement for like a person doing simultaneous interpretation or even like interpretation period. But the reality is, right, sometimes like, you know, you had the Audubon Plaza conversation, right? That was it. Eliezer apparently had like 90 plus folks at his meeting at Public Safety. So sometimes there's things on the agenda that we don't always know when we will get folks who speak other languages. So I would just say like, if we're able to use an AI tool that can do that audio on the go for our meetings, that's great. And when there are, you know, meetings that are bigger that we know we want some like kind of like just a more like tailored approach to interpretation, then we can always bring in that other an actual human being. So it's not to say it's like a replacement, but something kind of like a baseline to allow folks to join in and be able to fully understand and participate. So yeah.
Just to, you know, piggyback on that, when we have our meetings, the aging committee meetings at other places, like the senior centers, we have to have translation because 80% of those people don't speak any English. So we have to have a bilingual meeting.
No,
Um,
licensing uses translation.
Yeah, we have a person. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, my hand's been raised so whenever you get a chance.
Yes, sir. Sorry, go ahead, Elisa.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, Leo, thank you for voicing out some of the snippets of our conversation, the conversation we had. But I'm gonna also add to not just having culturally sensitive or culturally oriented meetings, especially if the language is concerned. I know the city by law requires most official documents to be translated in at least 10 different languages.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I feel like the conversation, like there's multiple threads here, but for example, like an auto transcript or a live simultaneous translation, like those things are only as good as the quality of the audio being fed into it, which is, you know, part of the prior conversation we were having. And I think that part of the problem is the spaces that we're using don't have really particularly good acoustics, right? So the meeting, last month's meeting in that space, that's particularly a pretty bad space. Like the mic that's at the podium is pretty bad. Oftentimes the mic packs run out of batteries. Like I know that this is an ongoing thing about where can we hold our meetings, but I think we should also be thinking about what spaces are best suited for transmitting that audio to these machines. And also part of that is that, you know, we have a mandate to make our meetings accessible to people on Zoom. And if they can't really hear what's going on because people refuse to use the mic pack in the audience or are, you know, the mic has like an echo, then they're not really able to fully participate even in English. So I think that that's something that we should really be thinking about.
Yeah, you're right.
Did you say refuse to use an iPad?
Refuse to use the mic pack. Like, you know, some people will just like be like, I'm loud enough, you know.
I thought you said iPad. I'm sorry.
No.
My hearing.
I think it's a no.
Can't understand.
But yeah, that one, Anthony worked on a questionnaire for like the staff so we can vet some of our spaces. The reality is that we're super limited.
Yeah.
So we had to kind of figure out, but I think you're right. Like we can test it first in English and use a general meeting audio to see how it works. So for the demo. All right, cool. So back to Leo, I guess, for his treasurer report.
Thank you. So I'm just gonna keep it very brief. We're still working on a lot of the nitty-grittiness of it, and I'm getting accustomed to the role. But right now we're up to par with our budget, so it doesn't look like we're overspending or underusing. We don't necessarily have a surplus, but we have some money to play with events to form. Not everyone won't have an event, but if it's something that, again, we can expand our outreach or speak about important conversations within the committee, we have a little over $11,000 that we can allot to these different type of committee, well, not committee events, but events. I know that.
Well, not 11.
Yeah, not 11. Kathy's been talking to other boards. I believe it's committee board 8.
No, 9, 10, 11.
9, 10, 11. They want to have like a joint meet and greet with us in the next, hopefully, couple of months, maybe a month or so. So some money will be going into that, and obviously we need a good chunk of money since we'll host about 200 plus people. So we have that. We have a couple conversations happening around traffic and transportation, so we'll be hosting hopefully a forum sometime in May. So some money will go to that, but if you guys have any ideas where we can allocate some of these funds so that obviously we don't lose it, feel free to send us an email and we'll discuss and see exactly how much we have to play with. Again, I can't give you specific numbers at the moment, so I'm still getting a lot of the reports from Ebenezer. He's been great with sending the crystal report, but we do have something to use. Yes.
I do notice, because I've had to go to them for work. So like CB 9 and 10, they do like, they've done like cultural town halls, and people come up, they have X amount, they usually do it at that Riverbank State Park, the Denny Farrell Hall. And they give cultural organizations, and this could be done with everywhere, like this could be done with human services, et cetera, business. And everybody gets X amount of time to present, to let the community know, this is what we do, this is what we offer. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I mean, what they did was just in terms of cultural organizations, but I think, we could do it for almost like each committee and have various organizations in there.
Good idea.
Sorry, battery died. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, man.
Yes.
I think you're aware because I mentioned it actually in Traffic and Transportation Committee, but the Aging Committee is planning on doing a health fair.
Yes.
So there's some money available for
when, man?
something, that we might come up with. We can talk about it.
When are you thinking?
May 1st.
Okay.
With a rain date of June, whatever the first Thursday is, June 5th.
Yeah, we can definitely discuss that.
Yeah, and we're doing a mental health fair at one of the local high schools. So we'll send more information about it.
Yeah, we'll connect offline, and then we'll run it by Ebenezer and Kathy, obviously, and we'll see what we can allocate. But again, we have some money to fund these events. I think we want to use it, obviously, to lose it. So if you guys can send them before the next executive committee, for sure.
I won't be able to do that.
We'll speak up. We'll
All right, you're leaving.
Huh?
You're leaving, right? Her annual vacation. All right, Tanisha, go ahead.
Wait for announcements.
Hey,
I'm
y'all.
sorry. I'm sorry. Before I
Oh,
got.
you're right. It had something to say first. Sorry, and then it was Tanisha.
All right. Yeah, I'm sorry that I got cut off. My battery died. So Leo, more so than the language issues, I think, and in last week's public safety meeting is a testament of what happens when the issues on the agendas are so much in the pulse of what people are feeling and the sentiment of what people feel. I think that we should make an effort of trying to have agenda items of what's really transpiring on our communities, and especially on issues that we all oversee as part of what we do in our committees. I think it's important that the issues don't become stale, and then we talk about the same issues over and over again, because then people become disinterested. So I think the fact having 90-some people, I haven't seen that many people since I think Domingo had one during the pandemic, that we had like 100 and some people in our business committees. I remember that. Yeah, I will never forget. So yeah, I think that's, besides the cultural and getting people involved and having the language issues smoothed out for them, I think it's important what it is that we're talking about. Is it our issues that affect our immediate circle, or are issues that affect at least outside of what we think is important? I just wanted to stress that point, and thank you for bringing that point, Leo. Extremely helpful to know.
And I'm sorry, Tanisha, before you you speak. Ebenezer, and I mean, Eli and Domingo, I was recommending, I think it's something that we should do. We should have a joint committee meeting. A lot of our committees, kind of aging as well,
I can't hear
they
you.
kind of go one in with the other. And there's certain things that we need to address. I think that our committee can do a good job at the forefront of these issues. And in current events,
Collaborating, joint meetings.
yeah, joint meeting between public safety, youth and education, and traffic and transportation. Even aging, I think, would be beneficial to kind of all sit down and address certain current events and how we can work as a committee to collaboratively
Address.
discuss these issues. Just overall issues going on in the community that kind of all tie into each other.
Yeah, a lot of those issues intersect with one another.
Yeah.
Some are like borderline something, and then next thing you know, you have 4 or 5 different committees that are discussing the same issues.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Tanisha.
Yeah, I just want to suggest, so you can write it down now, that we do something. I heard Alexis talking about the language barrier. I suggest that we do a Know Your Rights training and get some interpreters for all different type of languages. And I'm thinking about covering SBI's district, which includes a lot of the boards, community boards y'all was just talking about. That we could all come together and do that. That would be great sooner rather than later, because I'm noticing that there's a lot of Know Your Rights training, but most of them are only in Spanish interpretation, and we're leaving a lot of our community out, as some of the community members mentioned. So I would like to suggest that. Thank you.
I have to think about it. So to Leo's point, right? April's like our final numbers. Locked in. So what's today? That's 18th. So we have to spend, like, we can't change our budget after the beginning of April. So once we submit that budget modification, it's final. So we're kind of locked in. So if you're having an event in May, you're having it in June, we'll secure the money by then. But I need folks to decide by the next executive committee, yes, we're gonna green light certain projects.
Yeah.
So we can accommodate that.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Do we have to use the money by the end of this fiscal year?
Yeah.
So it has to be spent by June 30th.
Yeah, and I want to again commend like Ebenezer and everyone, like this fiscal year, we're doing so much better in expending, and also has to do like, there's consistent categories, right? Like a lot of the software that's been invested in, so things have kind of been streamlined. So compared to other years, we really don't have too much wiggle room, but where we do have some is really this idea of like having funds for like committees for events and things like that. So that's what we wanted to identify. I know folks are talking on the side. Okay, anything else?
No, that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Perfect. We'll go to DM's report. So Ebenezer, and we'll dovetail. You see those on Zoom. So we'll talk a little bit about sidewalk, cafe, and roadway.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Always a pleasure being here. I just want to go over again also to the people who need to reappoint. I sent the email to only the board member who need to reappoint. So if you get it, you need to apply before the deadline. It was a special email prepared with the people who need to renew it this year. So if you get it, you need to act. If you need any help, don't hesitate to call the office. We are here more than happy to help you. And then the only thing I want to report and really go over is to the New York City Department of Transportation process with Sidewalk Cafe and Roadway Cafe. It's a new system they call now Dine Out in the city. They change the requirements to apply, and they made the application more easy for the applicant. The applicant doesn't need to hire an architect to make the drawings. They can do their own drawings. And we had several meetings for the last year with DOT about this process with the DMs. And one of the fight that the majority of the community board has with DOT is the time to reply. And it was extended. The time to reply for Sidewalk Cafe is 40 days, and the time to reply back to DOT is 30 days. And the person in charge of the process, they stress out all the time that they are not interested in a resolution from the community boards. The only one that we fill out a form that comes with the application and return back to them during the prescribed time. 40 days for Sidewalk Cafe and 30 days for Roadway Cafe. So we got an application last week for a Roadway Cafe. And the application, it says that they are expecting our response in March 13. We got it last week. They're expecting our response back in March 13. Here in the office, Paula and I, we're discussing this matter, how we're going to do it. Paola suggests that we assign the review it of the Sidewalk Cafe and Roadway Cafe to the Transportation Committee since they are on the street. Catherine and we spoke, and Catherine suggests that licensing committee should still in charge of the Sidewalk Cafe. Personally, I don't care which committee is assigned to. My concern is the way DOT is playing, because they know when our meetings are, and they send these notifications in the middle of the month that we have no time to assign to a committee and review it at the general meeting for the vote of the majority with the process that we are implemented in this board and many boards as well. And the only one respond on a form, like a ministerial or something in office that we review, that we go. The feeling that I have, the one that we go to decide, we observe, and we complete the form and give it back to them as a type of inspection. Really, we don't have time to do that in the way they are operating. That's why I want to bring this item to the executive committee to see which way we're going to go. So far, we only have received 2 applications. One was in December, in the middle of the holidays. We really didn't have the time to even assign to one of the committees. And now we have this new application for a Roadway Cafe that we're supposed to get back by March 13. So this is the situation that I presented, and I want that everyone give their opinion, and we try to find a solution or a way how we're going to address this new type of application from New York City Department of Transportation.
Okay, we had a few hands, and this is something we do have to sort in the meeting, even though I know it doesn't relate to every committee. But obviously we all vote, so it affects us all. We're gonna go in the order that it was Isidro, Jim, and Leo, and then we'll take it, and then Joel. Let's go from there.
Thank you so much, Chair, Ebenezer. So we all know that DOT has taken over the sidewalk and roadside dining. The thing is that state laws supersede city laws. If the premise is not applying or not using alcohol out in the outside dining, it's okay that they don't have to go through licensing. The thing is that 1 cup of alcohol that goes out and be used at these areas is under those the umbrella of the SLA. So fine, if the restaurant is not serving alcohol outside, it's okay. But 1 cup of alcohol, if it's found outside on these premises, on these areas, a huge fine will come along. So I don't know why DOT will say that they don't need any permission or authority from the community board. They should oversee and study the state regulations on this matter before they say things like this.
Well, the DOT is only concerned about the license to operate the sidewalk cafe or roadway cafe. They said that we should be able to address any matter regarding the consumption of alcohol when they come to SLA to apply for the extension of the license. That's what they said. Also, the operating hours is already set with the law, and they said that. So that we have nothing to say about the law, the operation. The only thing that they want opinion from us is on the location, if this is fine, how the flow of pedestrian is there, if it's interfering a bus stop or any parking area. They only want the physical portion of the application for the sidewalk cafe or roadway cafe. And they are not giving us room to opine with the transitional process of a committee flesh out recommendation for the full board and pass yes or no from the full board with a resolution like we do. They just want that form. And they said very that in the meeting that we are not dealing with the liquor license. That when they come for the extension. So my concern is that we will not able to input in the application itself of the sidewalk cafe or roadway cafe.
Correct. We have to interject.
There's a few hands, Isidro, and I know it's mainly licensing. I just want to make sure we have a sense. So go ahead, Jim.
Thank you. I'm very upset with what I just heard or what Ebenezer just explained to us. It is obvious the DOT is trying to short circuit the community board process. The way they've described, and in two ways, by the way. Number one, they basically said the only criteria that we may use has to do with traffic. If it's too narrow, if it's too this. We, the community board, may have other criteria in mind as to where an outdoor cafe is or is not appropriate. So that's one half of it. The other half of it is the fact that they've given us this short turnaround time. So I think, among other things, it's important to reach out to Carmen, you know, she actually has power, she's a council person, to, you know, see what can be done about this. And maybe this should be an issue for the borough board as well, since it impacts all of the community boards in Manhattan. But basically, they've sort of usurped our power. And of course, one of the ironies of the situation is that the commissioner of this department used to be our council person. And when he was in that position, he seemed to have an entirely different and more community-minded attitude. So this is something I think we have to make a fuss about. The other piece of it is, in terms of this traffic stuff, we could ask the Traffic and Transportation Committee, that this is sort of an interim until they fix it, to come up with a set of criteria that maybe even the staff or one or two individuals from a committee could use to produce this evaluation that DOT wants, since that's the game they're currently playing. But again, the real issue is that we're not going to have the discretion we used to have. And, you know, if we don't get to talk about things and don't get to comment on things, then there's not much reason to have a community board. So this is a very upsetting development. Thank you.
Thanks. I skipped over Leo, sorry. Go ahead, Leo.
And I think we have to add a bit more context. So DOT has forwarded the office the actual application. On the application, they don't necessarily ask any questions or ask for any comments based on liquor sales. Everything it has to do with the roadway. So, for example, they ask, comments related to pedestrian flow, the physical footprint dimensions. Is there an existing curb use? So, I agree with Isidro that in order for us to comment, especially if the business is selling liquor, that should be incorporated into the application. Now, as a board, obviously we have to use their applications to provide the comments and send it out. There's some certain guidelines that we have to follow, but I do think that it's up to us now to create a process and a precedent to move forward with. Because we can't set the precedent of not obviously commenting or kind of just bypassing because we have gripe with DOT. So it's something to consider, and we can forward the application around. And maybe since to Ebenezer's point, and Isidro probably knows this, Kathy, myself, Anthony, whoever's received the applications, they don't have a specific date that they send them. We are receiving them kind of randomly. So, for example, a set of applications were sent out after the Traffic and Transportation Committee meeting. So there's not much that we could do our end. Same thing, a set of applications were sent out the same day as, or maybe a day before, the licensing committee meeting. So it just creates an issue. That being said, I think if, to Ebenezer's point, they're not requiring a resolution, maybe it's up to us in the executive committee to take on that task and just have that discussion amongst us and then kind of move forward with it. That's just my 2 cents.
Okay. Joel.
So that, my question was about the content of the form that Ebenezer was talking about. I guess I'll take a look at it.
Yes, I can share screen.
Secondly, I know in licensing, we have a questionnaire that's apart from SLA's, kind of like an application process. So maybe to your point, Leo, maybe we can do like some sort of questionnaire that's relevant to whatever we want the applicant to, adhere to. Now, does this form, whatever application, how does that affect the application of the applicant? Does it negate their application, or what type of influence does this form have on their app? Or is it just kind of like our say?
We don't know, it's a comment.
We're advisory,
Yeah,
like
we're
the
advisory.
same thing with liquor, right? Like
Yeah.
in cannabis, we
Just
recommend modifications, but remember for this, they applied last year to DOT. Now is the stage where DOT's reviewed and now they're coming our way.
Yeah.
When they come and how many are coming, we don't know.
Yeah.
So that's just, it's significant because, and just to kind of keep us focused on like, some solutions for us to walk away with, is that we already have sidewalk cafe questions. I think the committee needs to review them and make sure they're all still relevant. But roadway, we need brand new set of questions. And I like the idea of a collab between licensing and traffic. So that way it's like, there might be things that you guys are thinking about that aren't there. So that has to be ASAP. Our next meeting is March 12th for licensing. And so this is information. 1, the questionnaire got to be created. 2, the staff got to know it. And then 3, it got to be on our website, right? So that people are aware of like, okay, this is what we've built out. That doesn't give us a lot of time. That's what, like 3 weeks, maybe a little less than 3 weeks. Obviously it could be done via email, but thinking of just it's gonna have to be over email in terms of traffic committee and licensing committee of some recommendations that y'all can brainstorm together and throw on. But sorry, Joel.
My last point is, for Jim's point, Jim, you're totally right. 40 days is not enough. I think that, maybe going to the councilwoman to extend this, maybe 60 days, maybe 90 days. Just so, just in case it comes after the traffic and transportations meeting or licensing meeting, that it kind of go to the next meeting and so forth. But, I think we should let her know that, and bring it up. Thank you.
It was Steve.
No, it was,
I was Steve, because he's in the back, so he had his hand up.
oh, I didn't see him. All right, so I'm here.
Yeah, excuse me, I have maybe 2 or 3 points. Number one, the fact that they're not asking for a resolution does not mean that we should not follow our normal procedures and take a position by way of passing a resolution. So I discount that particular point. And I would prefer to have the board act like it normally does by resolution through its committees. And the licensing committee, by the way, was not created solely to deal with alcohol applications. And I think under our bylaws, it has sidewalk cafes as part of its jurisdiction. But we didn't include roadway cafes because they didn't exist back then. So there might be a rationale to having roadway cafes considered by the Traffic and Transportation Committee, the regular sidewalk cafes considered by licensing, that may just be the way it works out. And with respect to Jim's point, I think we should take this question to the borough board, since it does affect all of the community boards. And they should jointly, with the borough president's office, request more time from DOT. I find it hard to believe that if we would ask for, what are they giving us now, 40 days?
30 days for
Oh, yeah, they not changing.
roadway and 40 days for the sidewalk.
You know how many months before they rolled this out that we were all complaining about it and they
didn't change.
Is there 40 days for both?
No, it's 30 days for the roadway cafe, 40 days for the sidewalk cafe.
Well, I don't know, considering the time it's taken them to even get to this point, I don't think it's outrageous to tell them that we need 60 days.
all right, Eliezer, Isidro, and then we gotta get to some next up.
Yeah, from what I gather, all the comments, I think that, full transparency, I participated in some of the procedures that were put in place in order to get community boards involved in rolling this out. Number one, I think that is critical that we, at some point in time, especially the people that are gonna be the key players, get more familiar with the law as is. DOT is just the enforcement agency of what the law was passed by city council. So the way that the flow chart works is that applications are issued by DOT, but then it goes through the process of, for the first time ever, the fire department is involved in the decision making. So you have the fire department, you have community boards, and then you also have local city councils. And if the application gets denied, for the first time, they get a sort of like a hearing or some sort of a second chance for the application to be reviewed by the mayor's office. So that's what the 40 days comes, because now we have more than one agency involved in the decision-making process. So just we can expedite our side, but FDNY could take a little longer than we are. So it's not just the community boards that are involved in this process. And as Steve just said, we can continue to produce resolutions because that's our official way of saying, yes, we are in agreement with. So that shouldn't change. As far as who's going to be involved and what committees you chair, can make those decisions. But the process is more tedious than what it used to be. And now the liquor part and how the state is involved is not as involved as it used to be, in the way of just saying, okay, you are going to be punished by serving liquor outside of the premises, now in the streets. That's a little bit more than the law explains. That I don't have the time to explain further now. But having said all of that, I invite you, especially the key players, to come back to the drawing board and read the law, because the law is very specific as to how the process goes.
I know, Jim, sorry, no, Isidro has his hand up.
Thank you, Catherine. Just, to report on DOT and what they're requesting, we need to take into account that, one, we know our neighborhood very well, and we know which trouble areas there might be that if we allow or approve this permit, it's going to be, I think, an issue, because DOT is not going to know the capacity of this establishment, inside or out. And we had one application this past Wednesday. They withdrew because they were missing some documents. But whatever decision is made by the community board, I'm more than happy to assist in any way, shape, or form. If it's traffic, transportation, take over this, or licensing, I'm more than open to assist.
Hold on, real quick, so because we gotta get somewhere. All right, right now we got Isidro and Leo. We need to I know I see your hand, Jim. We need to take the applications that we've gotten and turn that into actual questionnaire. We gotta think at least 10 questions, because the licensing questionnaire is super long already, right?
We can help come up with the questionnaire. The issue again is the dates that are set might not fall in the time that I have my meetings or vice versa, the time that Isidro has his meetings. So how do we go about discussing this, asking the applicants and then passing a resolution?
The other piece, so what I would say, and I think the fallback is we're never gonna get, I think, time based on what I've seen already, for it to be ratified at the full board. It's always gonna have to come here, or the applicant comes here.
Okay.
So for my exec members, either we choose to like say, hey, if the time allows for it, it's always gonna go to exec, or we choose to not weigh in. Because again, it's a choice. We don't have to weigh in.
I think the way is gonna, regardless, right? Like I think it's like, we should still send in whether it's 45 days and we send it on the 45th day, I think we should still send it. Ultimately, they're gonna make their decision without our input, right?
Yeah, but we don't want to set the precedent and not send anything or send it late, because God forbid we do have a bad merchant. Then when it counts, it's like we don't have a voice at that place. You guys never respond. We pick and choose who we respond.
Okay, so then reality is all right, go ahead, Jim, sorry.
Thank you. The issue, which is, I'm basically replying to Steve, and I also want to mention to Steve that I also already complimented you and Liz for the wonderful speeches you gave at Jay's Memorial, and I told them a bit about it. So, but the whole thing is this time limit. Because the time limit is so short, we cannot follow our process. Now, I agree with Leo or whoever just spoke, that we don't want to give up our right to comment. Now, if we comment after the fact, it's sort of, like a Pyrrhic victory. It's like allowing a public session after the board votes. It's, ridiculous. So I think temporarily, as Catherine pointed out, we're going to have this workaround where the actual vote may have to be done, by the executive committee, or maybe depending on the timing of this cycle, sometimes we can actually go through the full cycle. Otherwise, but I agree with Catherine. We have to, for the time being, we have to respond. We have to figure out a way of responding. We have to get input from the appropriate people before we respond. And ideally, which is why we should bring this to the borough board, the way it's set up, they've basically short-circuited the only methodology community boards have to properly respond, and we should object to that. Thank you.
Borough board's this Thursday, so I'm gonna bring it up there anyway. All right, hold on, just to get us to the list. So questionnaire, Ebenezer, we're gonna need like a office guy, like similar how we already have for liquor and cannabis, step 1, step 2, step 3, and who's gonna deal with these dining out applications, because I'm assuming it's gonna be Noemi, since it's licensing, or if it's split, no sé. The piece with that, the reason why I'm saying step 1, step 2, step 3 is so that we could also inform her and the office of like, what's the ranking? Ideally, we have the full cycle. I think step 2 is that it goes from licensing to exec. Worst case scenario, it's licensing, and then I think chair has the ability to sign, but we always have to ratify. There's that. And then the last piece that that Leo just reminded me of, and Elias said I don't see him on the screen anymore. The other piece that's new is that the applicant has to sign whether they approve, if we have modifications or if we deny it. Some of our merchants are not the best at following up with things, especially if we say no to them. So I wanted to explore, like, especially if the timeline is tight, that anybody with sidewalk and roadway got to be here in person. Does DOT ever say anything around that? Because I don't remember on the rules. I had another DOT ask.
Actually, no, and in fact, I've already seen applications from CB 2, 3, and 5 who have a committee dedicated solely just because of course, it's Midtown and downtown, so it's a little different than ours. So yeah, you should. Is naturally you would want to show up in person to show who you are, and obviously a lot of those people are already familiar with the procedures because they have liquor licenses and they've come in front of the community board, so they know exactly what to expect and the kind of space that they're gonna walk into. So yeah, they should. It's not a requirement per se, but that's something that is recommended that you come and show face at least.
Can we buy a shirt?
Catherine,
DOT.
Catherine,
ahead.
we have a lot of establishments that are already violating the laws where they have enclosed sidewalks without a permit. So sooner or later, we were going to, at least I will vote to reject any applicant that has not followed the code because they have completely violated enclosing the sidewalk of face, which is not now it's not officially authorized now by DOT unless they have been grandfathered in. So many have violated the laws already.
Yeah, so I say that, I mean, again, this is up to licensing committee and you guys. I just wanted to be really clear that the applicant has to sign a DOT dining form after we vote. So if you guys want those people to be here in person, the office needs to know that so that when Noemi does that first phone call, they can remind them multiple times that they got to come in person to sign. The last thing, before I forget, and Ebenezer, there's another one for you. And this is echoing what Eliezer said about the law. Like when DOT did the dining out training, they did it before the application opened and it was very thorough. They was on YouTube, all the things, but it's outdated because they made changes and I've asked and I haven't seen any additional training on it. And I think the entire licensing and the whole board needs new materials. Can you reach out, Evan, and even the office staff, because they were supposed to do a training for you guys and they didn't do it on the portal.
Let me chime in. There hasn't been any changes to the law. Again, DOT is just the enforcement agency. City council is a law that passed by city council. So DOT cannot make any modifications to the law. What I recommend you do is one, download the law as is, and two, the requirements. There's drawings in the website. There's a lot of information that could be downloaded. And when people come and ask for help, you just hand it out or you give them the link or you give them a printout. But all of the information is there, especially materials, vendors that could possibly sell it, a bunch of stuff. And FDNY is involved because there are streets that do not fit the requirement of the 15 feet that the fire truck requires to make turns. So that's an immediate no. That's an immediate no. And that's what FDNY is now chiming in and making, have also an advisory position into these roadway applications.
I hear you, Alyssa. I just don't think like they were supposed to do something specific for CBs after applications rolled out and didn't. Like Paola in the office was supposed to get a training about the portal. Now there's no portal, it's email, right? They were supposed to get logins. There's none of that anymore. So for us, it's like, you know, it's unrealistic, especially with the time frame for folks to sit and read the law. Even though I hear you on it, it's just we need like really short materials from the original trainings or anything new that they have that's community board specific. If they don't have it, something where because the stuff that's on the website is really more for the applicants, and it doesn't necessarily like. I don't think personally that it works fully for board members who are trying to understand a new thing, especially for a roadway. And I know they have that dining out email, Ebenezer, so if like we could just reach out to see if they have anything. If not, we figure it out with the other stuff.
I have a question.
Okay.
And I could be of help if you guys need me, and I'll probably have. Ebenezer, you know Rita, right? Ebenezer, I can put you in contact with Rita, and maybe you guys can work it out.
Yeah, sure.
With whichever ways makes the situation better, especially this is my community board, so.
The DOT has a meeting with the district manager a few weeks ago, and I asked Paola to sit with us for her to be familiar in the process as well. Like I said before, the only one that we fill out that questionnaire that they send us and send it back on the time frame they gave us. And they don't even want that we get in touch with the applicant either.
So how are they supposed to sign? I don't know.
So two things, Kathy, real quick. So the first thing is we still have 4 applications that we have to discuss. Because they need to be sent out by March 5th and March 12th. 3 on March 5th, on March 12th. So
We have 4.
4,
Yes.
3 on March 5th, 1 by March 12th needs to be sent out with our comments. So we don't have,
And these are roadways or sidewalks?
it's 3 roadways, I believe, 1 sidewalk.
No, the opposite.
four.
1 roadway, 3 sidewalks.
Yes, 1 road with 3 sidewalks. So that's the first thing. So, and the second thing, and as a suggestion, again, going back to the point that we don't know when DOT is going to send it unless Eli can clarify, or maybe we can reach out to DOT and get a pool of them on a specific date. I suggest that we form some type of subcommittee that meets up, you know, at least once a month, maybe midway through the month, right before exec, and discusses these applications so that we can just pass it forward, get approved at the exec, and then move it forward. We're gonna continue our bylaws and pass resolutions for them. And going into that point, the subcommittee should consist of Isidro, since he's the licensing chair, myself included in that committee, to give input on traffic and transportation, and maybe a member or 2 of each licensing and traffic to chime in, so that we can just kind of get the process going, because yeah, we need to just respond at this point.
We mean subcommittee just to respond to these.
Again, I'm
Or,
open to
I guess that's like a task.
You mean,
force.
a task force, I guess.
create a special subcommittee right now to deal with the immediate applications before us.
Yeah,
Do we want to do that or do we want to address them here?
but I think these we should address at the exec committee, just we don't have the time to really,
Establish. a
yeah,
task force?
before the next general board meeting, which is next week.
But have them reviewed first by this subcommittee?
I haven't reviewed first by us, the exec committee.
Or
And then moving forward, after March, or in March, whenever we get these applications, that subcommittee,
But that means we would have to review them tonight.
yes.
Or what we could do in this particular case, since there was no standard in place previously, is state for these 4, since we are still determining what our process is, that we will not be commenting on these 4 at this time, given that we did not have a procedure in place when they were submitted to the community board for comment. That could be the alternative. I know that's not ideal, but I mean, I'd rather that than come up with ad hoc rules that we're gonna have to go back to and adjust.
What are the 4 applications? Let's start there.
La Kayla,
One
Washington Pub,
181 Cabrini
And pizza, burger and pizza.
and
Yeah,
Burger Heights.
Burger Heights.
Burger Heights.
La Kayla.
So these are all like long-standing operators.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, so those operators that you mentioned, they're
They're good.
I don't see an issue with them.
Mhm.
Let me see if Burger has a
Can do that.
roadway. I'm sorry.
So, so Ebenezer, tomorrow,
They really-
I'm gonna send you, like, some of the, keynotes of what most, applicants or applications are looked over and the criteria. I'm gonna send you that, especially proximity to the fire hydrants, proximity to schools, X, Y, and Z, and so forth. I'm gonna send you that tomorrow so that you can have that as part of the cheat sheet.
I'm sorry, to clarify, all 4 are roadway.
And I think
Where they had their where they used to have their existing ones.
one appeared at your licensing committee, right?
That was-
Yeah, that was the Indian restaurant on 187.
Kismet.
It's
Yeah,
a
Kismet.
fifth establishment, but
So
that
5.
was sidewalk.
Yeah.
That was sidewalk.
But you actually reviewed that one.
No, they didn't have enough documentation, so they withdrew their application.
The reason why is because there's a specific application that you saw.
Yeah.
And at the office for some reason gonna forward it to you.
So the other 4 are roadways?
All 4 are roadways. So La Kayla, so one is at 181 Cabrini, so both sides of 181 and Cabrini. We got with Fort Washington Pub where they used to have a long thing. And then Burger Heights,
It's 182nd.
which is
Yeah,
182nd.
So could we have your?
I recommend,
They do my-
I'd recommend, that tomorrow the office distributes, what some of the things that you're gonna be commenting on. Because you may be, approving or disapproving some things that may not necessarily be part of what, the law requires, especially length. How far is it from the fire hydrants? How far is it from the sidewalk? What's the pedestrians width? And that kind of thing is some technical terms that I suggest
So
you guys look over.
So DOT expects us to like, assuming whatever committee is taking hold of this, to go out there and measure it? Is that like the expectation?
They're
No,
expected, no. Because
Yeah.
what they would want you to make a comment on it, and then again, I agree with you, is that that when the application comes in front of you, the applicant will list why are they meeting all these applications criterias. Otherwise, what are you voting on if you don't know what you voted against or for?
And the application gives a measurement. So I mean,
I haven't seen it.
the measurement. Yeah. I'll forward it to the exec committee, I guess, so everybody can understand what we're looking at.
Can you forward up for?
Eliezer,
Yeah.
quick question. How often do businesses have to reapply and renew their application? Do you know that offhand?
As many times as you want. You can. I've seen applications withdrawn
No.
and come back. Huh?
No, the question is like after, like when do they have to renew their application? Let's say they assume.
Is it only good for 1 year?
No. It's 2 and 4. I think it's 2 for roadways and 4 for sidewalks. And then don't quote me on it. It's not every year. It's about 2 and 4. I think the equation is 2 years and 4 years, or just 4 years altogether. But it's not yearly. That much I know. It's not yearly.
Okay, so it's 5 to 8. It's feeling like
I have two very
involved.
specific questions, if you don't mind, concerning the roadway. Number one, it's my understanding that all these things are only for, the nice weather, and in the winter they go away, even the roadway ones. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, it's March. Broadway is March to November.
Right.
And
That's
sidewalk is
number
year
one.
round.
Now, the second thing, which I suppose is so technical, the DOT would have to worry about it, is when you have, and these things, can't be enclosed anymore. They're just cafes that'll be in the street. You're going to have some kind of protection from the cars. You can't just have, tables with cars going by. So I'm sure that that's all been figured out. And I'm sure, the safety of particularly the people in the restaurant is primary. But so that's all been taken care of, and there will be barriers and such.
Yeah. It's Waterfield, New Jersey barriers, no longer
Right.
planters because of the rats intrusive element.
The Jersey barriers are and the only other thing is that and it's sort of what I've sort of been hearing, the players involved, the ones who want these licenses, we sort of already know what they're gonna do. So, and we know them. I think they've all been good players in the past. And the only other thing I want to alert you to, because way back when sidewalk cafes were actually part of the Traffic and Transportation Committee, vendors occasionally would submit plans that were not correct. They would claim there was clearance, and when the chair and I of the committee went and looked with our tape measure, it wasn't 12 feet. It was 5 feet or 6 feet or whatever it was. So I think, now again, whose responsibility making sure the plans are accurate is, one would think it would be professionals at the DOT. We shouldn't expect the community board to run around measuring things. But again, that's something that DOT and everyone must keep in mind, that just because a plan says something, that doesn't mean that's the way it's going to be. Thank you.
Okay, so Ebenezer, I'm gonna send you an email with all this stuff, with the things in terms of next steps, but we're gonna have to prioritize, especially on the licensing side, to get this process ready for March. So we'll stay silent, I'm guessing.
Is Leo okay if we refer these 4 applications to his committee, to his meeting on March the 3rd?
If that's what the executive committee wants, we can discuss I don't think it gives.
Then the general board won't be able to vote on it.
No, they won't vote on it, period. Like,
Well, it would be like we do in other cases. We would,
Yeah.
it would be referred to the full board to be ratified. But we would trust his committee to at least review the applications and comment on them prior to that deadline, unless that deadline gets extended, unless the borough board can or comment or somebody else can convince DOT to extend that deadline. But at least
for like 1 month only, just traffic.
But at least his committee gives us an opportunity to weigh in before the deadline. If you have room for it.
Is that a motion? Are you moving for that? Cause the.
That,
committee has to
yes,
vote.
I mean, I think it's Bible, you see that, like, if we can pull the history on the applicants in time for that, then, and get the questionnaire together in time for that, and, you know what I'm saying, like, as long, if we have enough time to put everything together, then it's possible, but we just gotta get everything together. By next week.
I would have to connect with Isidro online.
Yeah.
to come up with that.
All right, so Isidro, thank you for the suggestion, Steve. Isidro, you gotta talk to Leo after this.
So that's happening. We're referring it to traffic and transportation
If-
with the caveat that there's a process in place by next week,
Man, it has to be done by next Wednesday.
But
next Wednesday.
So Catherine, what is that exactly that Leo and I are supposed to do? Come up with a new questionnaire?
Yeah, the questionnaire for sidewalk. What,
Well, these are roadways.
They're all road.
they're all roadways, sorry. All of the questionnaire for roadway, anything must that, you know, like anything within that questionnaire. Traffic gotta get familiar with, hey, this is coming and what the process is and the scope. And, the office gotta contact the applicants to come because they gotta sign.
I don't think we can get that all done in the next 2 weeks. My
Sorry,
meeting
It's
is
not 2 weeks, it's
from-
1 week.
I'm just hung up
Meeting's
on
2
that
weeks from
point about the
yesterday.
signature. Is that a wet signature? Have we confirmed that?
We don't know, that's why
We need to
Ebony's
look at
gonna
the-
talk
in the
tomorrow.
regulation. Okay.
He's
I,
gonna call tomorrow.
Just
what Anthony suggested is probably.
suggestion. A suggestion is if you look at the application, it has just about every technical question that you can ask. So if you guys gonna come up with a questionnaire, it might be related mostly to what the licensing committee does as far as, you know, the character of the person who's gonna be running the show, more so than, you know, the factuality of the process of how this thing is gonna work. And it's, as Jim said, you know, as usually they come in and said, I'm gonna have a DJ, and next thing you know, they have a live club, a live band or whatever. So, I mean, it's always gonna be the case. But yeah, the questionnaire. If you guys look at the application, it'll be helpful as to, you know, what kind of questions you guys are gonna be asking.
Okay. All right, thanks everybody for the patience on this. Still TBD, but closer. All right, who got results this month? We're gonna make today short. All right, it's Steve, you can finish chewing. Licensing, how many you have?
So we have 16 licenses. Only one new license was introduced. There was one that was withdrawn, and most of them were like renewals. No major issues. I'm writing the resolution as we speak, and that's it.
Okay. Did the precincts go?
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, 33rd and 34th?
Yeah, both of them showed up.
Okay, no, I was asking about the precinct. Anybody else? Nothing for land use?
I don't have cannabis doesn't have a resolution, but I did have something briefly to report on behalf of cannabis.
Steve's still eating, so you can go. It's okay.
I didn't hear. Sorry.
Oh, no, you can go. It's okay.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to briefly share that CUNY, who had done a study regarding cannabis and the sentiment around cannabis in our neighborhood, they're coming to present the results of the study in March. So I welcome everyone to come join us for that meeting. And there's also 2 events that 2 of our community partners would like some involvement for CB12. One is happening on April 9th, and the other one is happening on 4/20 with Happy Monkey. we will have more details on those events as they come, but just wanted to put it out there. But the most important thing, if you guys can please come to the March meeting or just tune in on Zoom, that'd be really wonderful. So you can hear about the results of the CUNY study. Thank you.
Who just spoke?
Carmen.
That was the New Yorker of the week?
Yeah.
Yes, our New Yorker of the week.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Carmen, I had a question, I forgot. Yeah, I got excited. for
She
you.
forgot.
Yeah, done. Oh, are you?
No
is that-
questions, no autographs. Sorry.
Is that study gonna happen in any other neighborhood, or is it just for?
No, they did Harlem already.
They did Harlem? They're gonna do it for the whole thing, the whole city, or no?
Oh, you got the money?
I don't know, I'm asking.
No, they only did 9, 10, 11, and 12, right, Carmen?
I don't know what he asked.
Oh, that if he asked if they did it in more than just besides Washington Heights, and I know they did it in Harlem, but.
The New Yorker of the week, or what specifically?
No, study for CUNY.
That's what I was like. I'm so confused. I didn't hear the beginning part of. Can you just repeat the whole thing? The CUNY study.
I'm asking if the CUNY study is being done in any other parts of New York, like Brooklyn.
Yes, they did it in Harlem, and that's it.
Okay.
And here. Mhm.
Thank you.
That's not where they at.
Yeah, the CUNY school is focusing on Upper Manhattan.
Oh, got it.
Yep.
Generally, they're not, you know, on its various programs.
Oh, well, tied to that, next week, there's Columbia's doing a research forum on cannabis and opioids, so that's on 164.
Do you know any of the speakers?
I think I know one of them.
Oh, yeah?
A little familiar.
They found somebody to speak, okay.
Hold on, let me get Steve go do his resume.
Yeah.
Steve, are you ready to talk about your resume?
Kathy is the, one of the speakers at that Columbia Forum.
Yeah, you're not settled, Steve.
My committee has a, resolution calling for, some improvements to the citywide, curbside composting program.
Okay. All right, so, everybody, yeah, make sure you get your stuff in time by Friday. Ahead of the meeting. Okay, now we're on to chair updates. Okay, so that's short. I mean, not chair, committee chair updates. Don't, go. Or announcement.
So last week was hosted by Hector. He wanted to have a conversation around with the comptroller. Unfortunately, scheduling didn't allow that to happen. But what did happen was we had a mother attend the meeting and raise concerns around programs in District 6 schools for kids with autism, you know, and I did some background checks, and it's pretty astonishing how the data now goes from 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 36 children. I would say like 10, 20 years ago, was 1 in 10,000 individuals had autism. Now that data has come down to 1 in every 36 individuals. Somebody has autism. So they spoke on programming within District 6, so as opposed to sending their kids to the Bronx because they have autism, whether high or low functioning. They want to see more programs within our district. The name of the programs are Horizon and Nest, which provide the services that these students need. So we'll be doing more research and calling for the DOE to educate us a bit more on these programs and why we don't have these programs available in our community based on the numbers.
Yeah, sure. I was gonna say, that also sounds like a potential budget item, cough, when folks talk about budgets.
Yeah.
Anybody else has announcements from their committee?
So, real quickly, Ponce submitted their application to be a BDD in late December. They are having 2 events, first time home buyer, because part of their commitment for the BDD is to do like these events. It's in the newsletter. Thank you, Madam Chair, for including it. First time home buyer. They're also hosting a boot camp. This boot camp is like a business boot camp for all types of different subjects for businesses.
Didn't you do that?
I did do that boot camp, and
This is Yeshiva one?
no, this is Ponce
Ponce
Bank.
Bank.
And at the end of this boot camp, is a pitch competition, and this pitch competition, you could win $10,000.
Ooh.
So,
Did you win?
I didn't, I lost.
So, first time home buyer, they're doing, that boot camp. They also showed us pictures of the bank is coming to life, which is really
In the
cool.
new building?
In the new building in 207. It was great to have an update for them. Last thing I wanted to mention is the e-bike trade-in program. Traffic, is great. It's happening from, well, it just started January 27th, to March 10th. March 10th. You could trade in your e-bike, because we've been having a lot of fires. Last year.
Shout out to Eli for sending.
Yeah. Yeah, just a great program. Get a certified e-bike.
Yeah,
One doesn't
it's a
go-
lottery. It's a lottery.
Is
Joel.
it?
It's not, yeah,
Is
it's
it
a
a
Lottery
lottery.
only 400.
Yeah.
It's only for 100?
No,
Where's that budget, man?
I was about to buy
Yeah,
this.
city council
that?
only gave them, it was only $1 million grant.
Oh, no, neither.
Yeah, bro.
Yes.
Has
400?
Ponce been approved yet? for the
No,
meeting?
not yet.
Okay, so they're
So-
still waiting to hear back on the
Yes.
application.
Yes.
They're just
So-
doing these things in the meantime.
Yeah, they're doing this thing and the bank has to be functional and open in order to be considered.
Yeah.
So I know you know
That's
that.
That's what he said.
So
Thank you.
it has to be operational before they can be considered, but they should be opening the branch in spring, early summer. So
Okay.
So they'll be coming back to us.
Yeah, are they gonna come back at this point or are we?
No, so,
Standing non-objective.
yeah, we already wrote a resolution
Yeah.
in support of it, so.
They should
um,
come back and give updates.
Yeah,
To your committee, at
yeah,
least.
they, that's what they did this month. They showed us, pictures and stuff, so, and part of their commitment is to do events, and any event that they have, I'm gonna forward it over to the board.
There's two hands on Zoom, Marielle, and I know, Luana gotta catch a flight, so. Maybe Luana first, in case you have to hop off.
I'm flexible. If it's easier for Luana to go, I can go after Luana. Luana, what's easier for you?
I think she gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
all right, Mario.
I can give her parts whenever.
Yeah.
Okay, good
I got it.
evening. Hope you're well. Yeah, Housing and Human Services, we had,
Sorry, you guys got to unmute me. That's why I can't unmute from the phone.
Oh,
You have to unmute me. But I'm unmuted already. But can I talk? Sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
first
Yeah,
one,
I'm about to board a flight. So thank you so
go ahead.
Two very quick announcements. We have a very exciting collaboration with Parks. We just had a lovely presentation with some artists that will be installing an art exhibit in Inwood Hill Park. So we are very, very excited about that. As you all know, with my committee, there's a lot of reporting with capital projects because it's like the slow season and then it comes to bloom in the summer, no pun intended. The Dyckman Playground by the One Train is open and they just had the ribbon cutting ceremony. That was really exciting. That's number two. Number three, the African Burial Ground project is underway. We just had a lovely, beautiful presentation about the installation that is right off of 212th Street and 10th Avenue. We're really looking forward for the space to open in collaboration with the Dyckman Farmhouse Museum. And there is a lot of discussions around McKenna Park and rehabilitating the park. And also the soccer field, the work has started there at the Dyckman Park. So Parks is very busy, sort of like getting everything ready for the spring and the summer. So thank you very much. And thank you, Marielle, for seating. Thank you.
Not a worry. Safe travel. See you. I'll follow up with you on the African burial kind of a presentation, because a couple of years ago we did have BRC come to Housing and Human Services. So that's where they're building the men's shelter, and so we'll follow up with you offline on that.
Marielle, you could dive right in.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure if maybe others had questions for Luana, but I guess not. So good evening, everyone. Hope you're all well. So for housing, we actually I had a really good presentation from HRA. I was actually concerned. I didn't think we were going to have a good turnout. We had a decent turnout. I would have appreciated kind of more people coming out, but we had really robust and I think substantive conversation around some of the services that they offer, and kind of breaking down, you know, some of the myths around eligibility for some of the services and things of that nature. And so that was really good to start building that relationship with them. They did seem quite open and flexible, so we're hoping to maybe have them back in the near future for something. Maybe it's that where they can sit at a general meeting or something, because they did bring like tons of resources, which we then left at the office. So I'll follow up with you, Kathy, to figure out what's the best way to bring them into kind of future events and things in the near future. The other thing is, you may all recall at the end of January, we worked with Congressman Espaillat's office. I also did it in my capacity, in a kind of different capacity that I have, on a Know Your Rights event. There were over 400 people on the Zoom, which was amazing. And there was a lot of partner organizations, and so that was really good to be a part of that. And so thank you to the office for kind of getting the word out. We know that kind of the date was secured a bit last minute, but thank you again. And I will certainly echo what Tanisha said around ensuring that future events do include more than kind of, just Spanish, but other translation services. I know that for that particular event, we tried to get the Office of Immigrant Affairs to help us, and unfortunately they were not able to support us in such short notice. But I think that's a really important point. So thank you, Tanisha, for raising that. In terms of a forward look, I think the big thing is Rent Guidelines Board, which is always the big one. So we'll be kind of doing some advocacy around that really soon. And then I had 1 or 2 points for AOB, which I don't know, Kathy, if you want me to raise it now or, 1 point for AOB, raise it now or under AOB. Hello?
Yeah, can you, what's AOB and you could raise it now?
Okay, sounds good. So it was just on the earlier point, I think it was Eliezer who was talking about, the intersectionality of a lot of these issues that we face as a community. I wonder if there's an opportunity to maybe, for next month's executive committee agenda or the following month, just for some strategic planning around, okay, what are the big issues? Where are the overlaps amongst our committees? What are things that we can do together? So a bit of a forward look, so that we're quite intentional about the types of things that we have in our agendas, rather than always being reactive, but that we're also being proactive as well. So just a thought. Thanks.
What is AOB? Yeah.
Oh, no, but folks are asking what AOB stands for.
Oh, any other business?
Oh.
That's good.
That's new from a TikTok for speak. Like
Gen Z talk or something. I don't know.
I thought it was Sandro.
Are from Gen Z, my friend. I was thinking like any other business, on the
AOB, Alessandro Ocasio-Cortez.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Mary, all right, Mary. No, you're good. We'll add that to the agenda. We have some templates from before. Oh, sorry, he has a question.
No,
I don't have a question.
No, he has a question.
I wanted to add a couple of items to the Parks Committee report. And give my own report.
You already
Go ahead.
No, I didn't. In March, there were going to be 2 groundbreakings of major projects in the Board 12 area. On or about March the 3rd, we're going to start the reconstruction of Lily Brown Playground, which is on Riverside Drive at 162nd, 163rd Streets. And we're going to, on March 17th, on or about, we're going to start the reconstruction of 3 of the ball fields in Inwood Hill Park, near Isham Street, and including the major one with the bleachers right there when you come into the park.
Let's go.
And that includes new lighting that will be installed at that ball field. And then
20 years too late.
then Luana mentioned the McKenna Square project. I've tentatively scheduled a community input meeting via Zoom for March the 13th. There is some complication there. May end up getting rescheduled, but at the moment, that meeting is planned for March the 13th. Now for my report.
Steve, Can I just add too, since we're just adding to
Yeah.
that report, exciting, kind of exciting, the Cascaya Park and the Monsignor Cat Park bathrooms should be done this spring, like
Yeah.
very soon.
Yeah. Uh,
They're 95% complete.
yeah, I'm not sure about Cascaya, but yes, that's good. So in terms of the Health and Environment Committee, we got a presentation from the State Attorney General's office on illegal and dangerous pesticides that are being sold on our streets. It's a very important issue. I'd like to be able to have the PowerPoint. Can it be linked to our newsletter? Is there a way to get this?
It can be on, so it's also can be on Airtable, so where your meetings are listed on your agenda, we also have
Yeah.
space for it.
Yeah, but nobody would really know to look for it.
But we link it there, so we could put it there, we link it there, and if you want it linked in the newsletter, we just talk to Noam and just send her an email.
Okay, and I'd like to also have it sent out to the board members. So it's a very significant issue that we need to pay attention to. And we also heard from the CEO of Berecan Neighborhood Health Center, which is located in East Harlem, and they're looking to expand and create a satellite location in Washington Heights. They're looking at taking space at the radio tower at Amsterdam at 181st Street. And
Who's that?
It's a FQHC.
FQHD?
Sorry, they're a federally
federally-
qualified health clinic.
yes,
Oh.
yeah, it would be a very good addition to the health services available in our community.
What are they called?
Berecan Neighborhood Health Center.
Borinquen.
Oh, what do you?
Yeah, they're in East Harlem.
They're in East
Ryan
Harlem,
Health
they have a
Center is on
building.
181.
Ryan is on health, the New York Presbyterian has a location on 181.
Yeah, but Ryan is probably the best
Yeah.
that we've dealt with, right?
Yeah, Ryan is
And City
excellent.
MD. has it.
Ryan is excellent, but it
Yeah.
really isn't that large.
Yeah.
But they make it happen.
Well, it's a
Trust
very,
me.
no, it's a very good program.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna find.
So
the
they're
same-
looking to expand into radio.
Yeah, I think maybe taking a couple of floors or something like that. But it would be a full service comprehensive health center.
Awesome.
I've worked with them.
Oh, yeah.
They do stuff for me, Marcus Garvey Park.
Yeah.
They really are, I mean, they take care of you, no questions asked, OBGYN dental work.
Oh,
That's what
Yeah.
Ryan
Yeah.
does, like, this is
Yeah.
good to have another one.
Yeah, it's good. I would, listen, we have a shortage of health services in this community to
exactly,
begin with.
yeah.
So anything like this that comes into our neighborhood, is a plus.
Yeah, they got space galore over there.
Yeah, oh, yeah. So, and the other thing I want to mention is that, as a follow-up to our last community board meeting where this question was raised during the session with the public officials giving their reports, I reached out to all of them and asked them about doing some following up on the resolution that we passed, the resolutions, we passed 2 resolutions on the adult rehab unit at New York Presbyterian. And so far I've gotten a response from Carmen's office. I believe I got something from Robert Jackson's office. But I'm hoping that at the next meeting, each one of our elected officials will give a report that mentions what they have done in response to the resolutions that this community board has passed on this question about the reduction in beds at the adult rehab unit at Presbyterian.
Thank you.
Sorry, are you reaching out to the people that come to our meeting? So this way they're.
Yeah, I was gonna
prepared for that?
say, I just wrote that so that Ebenezer,
It's always
or
the
the
same
office, we
people.
can email.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
So we got.
I don't know if I'd have to go back and check. In some cases, I believe I reached out to those particular individuals. In other cases, I believe I reached out to the chiefs of staff.
Okay, well, we got the public.
But the one I don't have the person from the public advocate's office, so I would appreciate getting the contact information for that person.
I can get you that. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think Marietta had.
No, she wants to give a report, so
Yeah,
it's a
no,
question.
yes.
Oh, so Mary, go.
So as I mentioned earlier in the meeting, I don't know if everybody was here at that time, the aging committee is going to have a health fair in the Audubon Plaza on May 1st, hopefully. We have a rain date planned for June 5th, I think that's first Thursday of June. So we're in the process of
seeking, organizations to do tabling. We have some already lined up, Isabella and, ARC 16 and contact the hospital, Julio, and get some folks in from there, to do different things. And, then we will get flyers made, hopefully, and get some of the senior centers to bring people. The other thing is, I don't know if I might as well do my announcement at the same time. I will be away for 3 weeks of March, so I won't be at any of the meetings. I will be in my usual home away from home.
Let's go, man.
The 29th year in a row.
She takes a vacation every year at the same time.
Where you going?
Aruba.
Oh,
That's why
Mary's gonna come with us.
Be all tan when you come back.
Very nice.
I got a question there. I got two questions actually. One is, Isabella, are we never gonna have meetings there? Cause like right after all that money was invested and everybody pushed for the auditorium to be fixed, barred for life?
Well, you know, mostly COVID was, they are beginning, okay? I
Okay.
can tell you that, Waikoa is going to be meeting there, but Waikoa is having now only in-person meetings. What Isabella is now saying is that they can't do hybrid meetings, but I can tell you that they are doing hybrid meetings. It's off the record. They are doing some hybrid meetings because I know that the Family and Friends Council that meets I think it's the first Saturday of the month, every month, is hybrid.
I know, make
Yeah,
you
but
listen
the-
to you
but the
already.
key-
That is baloney. Now, whether we can ever have a community board meeting up there, maybe,
He advocated so much for
maybe,
money
but
to
maybe
fix
not
that.
in my lifetime on the board.
Well, they're
We've been pushing- we've
they're
been
finally
pushing.
opening up the doors to Waikoa
Right,
and allowing outside people to come in for a meeting.
correct.
So this is a first step.
Start.
Maybe hopefully, sometimes eventually they'll agree to open up the social hall.
What's Waikoa?
The Washington.
Washington Heights Inwood Council on Aging. I'm co-chair of that organization as well.
And my second question is Audubon is this one right here, right?
Correct.
So how do you go about, cause I'm always interested in learning, cause you know, a lot of these plazas have issues and people raise concerns. How do you go about doing an event in a plaza like that?
DOT.
Okay, so you go straight to.
Yeah, we spoke.
I
about
have the
it.
contact person.
Yeah.
Actually, I wasn't sure about that myself until I
Okay,
fortunately am a member of the Traffic and Transportation Committee.
cause
So
from my
there it
understanding.
came, and they were there, and I said, "Oh, by the way."
Cause
Yeah.
from my understanding, the organization that initially initiated that plaza has stepped away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, and one of the things
It was an organization from the Bronx. I think.
Yeah.
one of the things that we
Because they
complained
thought they
about
were
is
gonna
that,
get
you know,
Equinox Kids.
they had events
And then I'm
apparently
like,
all
oh.
summer and everything
Nah.
that they sponsored over there, but the community didn't know anything about that,
Yeah.
about any of it.
I'm just
So-
interested in always learning more how public spaces.
Well, I've been asked whether the community board is gonna hold a public hearing to talk about problems with these plazas.
So we actually, I guess I'll segue to my report. We actually had a conversation with DOT on the Audubon Plaza, and we brought out the other plazas in the district. So Equinox Kids was a programming partner they had. They stepped away for complications and their reasons. So now they're looking for other partners. So if you guys are interested in having a program like Mary and her committee, I can give you the contact, you reach out and they'll set something up. According to them, they've had like 10 to 12 events in the last 6 months.
Right.
They showed pictures, they had proof. We have to take it with a grain of salt, but
Who knew about it?
yeah, but we did have discussions on maintenance partners, so they worked with the Hort. The Hort is a maintenance partner for Quisqueya Plaza and the Audubon. I don't think it's for Plaza de las Americas. I know that they did some maintenance work on Plaza de las Americas because the United Palace complained, so they patched up some holes and some potholes on the ground.
Yeah.
But it's an ongoing conversation. They will come back to the committee in the next few months to just kind of continue the discussion, but they will be having programming starting in the spring when it gets warmer. Yeah,
So just for clarification, because a new term was brought out,
Mhm.
programming for, usually people manage the plaza. That's from like when Whittick used to do Plaza de las
Plaza de
Americas,
Américas,
you
yeah.
had to go to Whittick
Mhm.
to be able to deal with the programming and stuff like that. So now organizations are expected to just do programming in Plaza, and then DOT manages.
to the, yeah,
The
DOT pays
operation
that
of-
part of the HORT. And DOT had managed the operation, so
Okay,
you have an organization or know someone that wants to have a programming, could provide you the email. Again, this was news to us in the committee as well.
yeah.
So I assumed the same thing as you, that Equinox Kids conducted the programming as well as the maintenance, and they didn't do the maintenance.
And they seem very excited to have people
Yeah, yeah.
ready to do programming in
Yes.
in the plaza.
Yes.
Is DOT actually cleaning these plazas every day?
So we've complained about, for example, Benizer sent me an email, when it snowed heavier sometime in late January. They took about 2 or 3 days to come in and do some of the maintenance work. But yes, they pay the HORT, which is,
The Hort just does plantings.
according to them, they do more than that. They do maintenance, yeah, that's what we were told. That's what we're holding them to. I asked multiple times to DOT to provide the contact for the HORT. Councilmember De La Rosa's office sent me the HORT contact. I reached out to them, I'm still waiting for the response.
Please let us know what they tell you, because
Yeah.
my experience is that they basically take care of.
I thought it was agricultural.
Yes,
That's
well,
what-
horticulture.
Horticulture,
It's-
yeah.
Yeah, hort is short for horticultural.
Yeah, that's what
It
I
used to be the horticultural society. As far
Um,
as I know, they just do plantings and take care of trees maybe.
Yeah.
But aren't we also getting noise complaints about these
So
places?
that's the other part. We had a few people, well, quite a good amount, complain about the noise, and the quality of life issues. They emphasize that they're not an enforcement agency, that, you know, reach out to your local, law enforcement, and that they would follow up with local law enforcement to see how it's being taken care of, but that they cannot do any enforcement. They're there to, again, operate and manage how the plaza is used with programming
Well,
and
what are you talking about now?
that, the quality of life.
No,
DOT.
DOT is saying they don't have anything to do with it.
They don't do enforcement, that we should reach out,
Right.
and they told this to the people who came and complained, that if you have any issues, reach out to DOT, to NYPD, to 311 calls, and that they would, on their end, follow up with NYPD, because they should be doing the enforcement, but then they have nothing to do with that.
But then you have articles like the one on the 3-4, so what do we?
Yeah, right, yeah.
It's
okay,
allowed.
hold on, we gotta go, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, no, go ahead.
No, because I was gonna guess, because she's waiting, and there's more announcements, so.
Okay, so yeah, so we could connect offline, but our stance and the council members that, you know, we do welcome plazas to our community. I think we want open spaces, especially for the people living here. I think during the pandemic it was very much needed, but if they can't maintain or upkeep in the ways that it needs to be, then we have to have conversations of just coming in, imposing and implementing. So we'll continue to follow up with them. We'll continue to hold them accountable the best way we can. Council member agreed. But at least at that meeting, they showed that they were prepared. They showed that they did programming during those months, and yeah.
Well, you sound very prepared too, asking your questions.
Yeah.
So props to you.
Yeah,
That was a good meeting.
I don't think you can expect NYPD to deal with all the noise issues.
Yeah.
One thing I forgot is
Issues
that
themselves.
we'll be having our March meeting, hopefully in the, Inwood Library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta film that.
And that
We're
was
like,
nice too.
do a,
Very nice library.
Just
So
to
I'm told, I've
Just
been
to-
this up.
finish off,
Okay.
sorry. DDC was there as well. They are having ped ramps, curb, and catch basin upgrades in our area. It's about 6 locations. Catch basins, ped ramp, pedestrian ramps, and curb. This will be done from mid-May to about late July. And I have the locations, will be included in the meeting minutes as well. And then for next month, we'll be discussing residential parking, as well as getting update from forgot his name, but from the New York Presbyterian regarding the Cancer Plus bill.
Yeah, the traffic around Broadway, Port Washington and 165th Street.
Oh,
okay, hold on, Heidi's.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And DOT just reached out to me today. We will be having a discussion on the Broadway condition, so Broadway corridor condition, which has to do with potential bus weigh-ins in the future, so. You can attend.
That's
please.
March?
They just want to have a conversation on the, with
Oh, okay,
condition,
not a
not
month.
necessarily on the bus.
Okay. All right, sorry, Heidi, and then I know there's a question and announcement.
For land use, it's really brief because the presenter we had for this month canceled kind of at the last minute, but there was an update about the Inwood rezoning points of agreement. So there has been a lack of follow-up historically on the commitments that were made in the points of agreement. The tracker, there was a tracker on the EDC website that was not updated for, I think, over 2 years about. And so finally, in contrast to other rezoning efforts, which are usually handled through DCP, here, this one is handled by EDC, and there was sort of like a loss of contact with the agency, but there was a meeting with Wayne and Kathy and some folks from the mayor's office of policy and planning, as well as the first deputy mayor, I guess former first deputy mayor, Torres Springer, and EDC. And basically EDC said that they would update the commitments tracker on their website sometime forthcoming. I think it might already.
No,
be
it's like
up.
this. It was supposed to be by the end
It
of
was
this
supposed to
month.
be, yes,
So-
exactly. And so they would provide that tracker to the committee and to the board. And then we would review that and then come up with questions pertaining to individual points in the tracker. And then in the spring, there will be a multi-agency presentation to provide a more comprehensive update on the Inwood rezoning points of agreement and where they stand. And EDC and the first deputy mayor's office will have a sort of joint responsibility to provide updates and be the point of contact for any questions about Inwood rezoning.
And I would say that would be like a hearing, so, and ideally in Inwood.
So are we hosting it?
Yeah,
Oh,
so we
okay.
would be hosting this like big forum around an update to the Inwood rezoning. Oh, sorry, there was a question for Elias said if you're still around, and then I think we could get into announcements.
Oh.
When,
So
What was the
my-
question?
Yeah, no, my question was about, I don't know if anyone came to your meeting from like the Bennett Park area, because there's like that habitual harasser that has been like all over social media. It's like almost
He was-
daily.
Yeah, they had like,
Lately,
was it
like-
90 people you said?
80, 90 people, Eli?
Can you just talk about that real quick?
Yeah, we had a tremendous amount of folks that came in from all over the place. Bent Place, 184th Street, 187th Street, Over Terrace. Is it Over Terrace or Overpack? Which one is it? Overlook. That's right. Yeah. So obviously, the people were extremely upset. Quick fact is that there's only 117 officers at the 34th Street thing, out of the 250 that they should have in order to cover what they said to be one of the largest territories by precinct in the city, in New York City. So yeah, they came, and the one thing that they did promise is to have more cars patrolling the area. They do know who this perpetrator is. They've located him. They know his address. There was a discussion around how he's been caught a couple of times, and he's been catched and released as well. So the police were saying that they want a bit more of enforcement on the DA side in order to continue to lock this guy up for a longer period of time. So yeah, at the end, the police department, the captain that was there were extremely opening, and he was very patient as to hear a lot of the criticism towards the police lack of presence in the area. So they did promise that, and I haven't gotten any emails since the meeting. So my assumption is that no news is good news. So I guess that they did live up to the promise of showing their presence, and hopefully that the guy did get locked up. Hopefully by the general meeting, I'll have news. I'll call Jocelyn Minaya from the DS office and ask him for an update on the status of this guy.
I would say people are threatening to go vigilante. So this is not.
Yeah. They were very close to get up in arms. Very close.
Like punching. Yeah, punching women, little girls.
Yeah.
He was seen in
Oh,
front
man.
of Dutch Baby just this past Thursday. Somebody called the police and the police said, well, we can't do anything if he's just standing around.
Domingo, you want to?
Listen, just on, because there's also other articles floating around on social media. I know, I saw one of them that Castillo responded that he would like to rebuttal, but he's not able to because he has to get permission from the precinct, from the commissioner. So, just interested in knowing, because, historically, the conversation has been around like, nightlife and the lack of presence there. So with a bombshell like this, which I think we talk about AI and evolving technology. I think we should have a ticker for everything that happens on these zip codes, right? Like anytime an article comes up, yeah, because with technology now, we should be able, as board members, get information on. We shouldn't be social media and be part of these groups to be able to.
I know you directed your question and they said, just to say, actually, Jacob tracks, we could add it, it's just probably gonna be too many. He does trust all the precedents
We should get
around
it.
community board
We should get it.
12.
We should get it.
Let's say community board 12.
But the article.
Jacob Banas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So the article basically is that the former commissioner's twin brother was impersonating him
Yes.
and entering the 34th precinct and saying to lay off.
People having sex.
Oh,
No, that's another one. That came out the same day, actually.
that came out right after.
That came out the same day, which is interesting. So I guess they wanted to write on the 34th that exact
Well, I
same
think
day.
the same guy, I think, made both complaints.
Yeah, so it's interesting for us to know, so like, cause a lot of the comments, and I'm not saying that social media is gonna pass judgment on anything we do here. But I think it's also important for like the community to feel that we did hear them and looking for ways to be able to, if not only communicate, but try to get like some sort of public trust, right? You got the justice system basically being a quid pro quo nowadays. It's like, yo, you give me this, I'll give you that. But as a community, we can't let that line be broken as far as like, you have an agency that's sworn to serve and protect. And once that there's an issue there, right? We want to know like what's happening, dog.
I think.
CO, by the way, too.
Yeah, I think in retrospect, I think there has to be a separation between what an enforcement agency does and who passes laws that and the kind of impact that these laws have in communities. That I think that's one of the exercises that I tried to establish in these conversations, is that there are limits to what city agencies can do when they enforce the law, because they're not the ultimate enforcers. They're not the ultimate, they're not the dead end of when situations happen. So yeah, you're looking at a situation in which a person gets apprehended and you're gonna see the same guy 10 minutes later in the same corner that he was committing the crime. So yeah, I understand what you're saying as far as the status of what we are, but we are where we are because of we got where we are. Didn't just start yesterday.
About part two, though, the other article that came out.
Yeah, and I read the article on the impersonation of the twin brother. Yeah. That's why and he paid the price by having to resign from his post. And that's what the system should do, is to punish the people and letting them get weeded out from the positions of power that they could be at a point in time which they misbehave.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say for what's relevant. I mean, I know it's all relevant, but like we're getting a new CO. I don't know when the new start is, or who the actual final candidate is, or like who they're offering to.
How they smear
So we'll find out soon. But Anthony had his hand up. It's already 8:42. We should have been done by 8:30.
It's just a very quick comment in response to Domingo. I think it's just also about the community board moving forward, being very clear about what we can and can't do, because I think that's the biggest misconception that we're facing with some community members. It's like we're behind you, but to the extent that we can only pass resolutions and really it's right, setting expectations about what our powers are.
But
Especially like in that
gonna-
case, yeah.
And I'm sorry for my chiming in. I think what Domingo is saying is correct. I think what we provide, which is probably one of the most unique forms of democracy, is a platform in which you get to see the police precinct commander in the same space as you are, and you can speak to this person and tell them that you're not happy with what your demands are, so that he can do his job better. So yes, we are an advisory committee, but having that space, like Domingo perfectly just mentioned, in which we can have these discussions, I think they feel the heat and they act on it. So I think we should continue to push the envelope and get the results that the community is looking for.
I move to adjourn unless there, I'm sorry. You have- No, go ahead.
No, okay, this is happening to me again. All right. I wanted to give people notice. So, number one, don't forget, city council discretionary grants are
Oh,
due
yeah,
tomorrow at
tomorrow.
5 p.m. Two, New York Presbyterian, they have released 2 RFPs. One is the micro grant, but then there's the one for, that's for $50,000. That's very competitive. That is for summer, not to be confused with summer youth employment. It's a summer youth engagement. That goes to 5 to 7 different organizations and will be for $50,000 for them. NEA, they dropped Challenge America, which is specifically to serve underserved communities. They have completely taken that out of the loop. And if anybody is applying for NEA, like I am for Classical Theater of Harlem, a Black theater company, don't play it. Keep your DEI in. Don't fake who you're gonna serve, keep serving who you serve, and just write those grants like there isn't President Musk at the helm. Thank you.
Oh, I have one more, and sorry, it's not, but I mean, I started with Noemi to include in the newsletter because I do know we have a lot of community cleanup groups. But there's like a $300 grant opportunity for anybody, for like community groups that do like trash pickup and things like that.
Isn't that for
It's like a sanitation, it's Sanitation Foundation.
Yeah, the Sanitation Foundation, they do.
So I sent it around to the Dykeman group that does a lot of like Dykeman Street cleanup, but yeah, for especially folks who know folks, it'll be in the next newsletter.
They're also doing the Waste Academy. I think, Steve, remember the Waste Academy? I think you last year you sent it, but I participated in it last year. It's awesome. Sanitation Foundation does it in the spring.
Motion to adjourn? Possible.
There was-
I retracted it.
No.
That's your motion.
Real quick, hold on, real quick.
Oh.
Community Education Council applications due the 27th. Please apply.
Domingo. Mariel, send it to Noemi if it's not already in the